You are being manipulated right now. And the most dangerous part is that it doesn't feel like manipulation. It feels like trust, like love, like good advice, like someone who says they're only trying to help. Every single day, tiny psychological forces shape what you believe, who you trust, and even the decisions you swear were your own. You think you're in control. Most people do, until one moment changes everything. What if that argument you apologized for wasn't your fault? What if that gut feeling wasn't yours? What if someone learned exactly how to influence you without ever raising their voice? Here's the twist no one sees coming. The most powerful manipulators don't control your actions. They quietly convince you that their ideas are your own. And once that happens, you stop questioning them, because you believe you're choosing freely. That's why intelligent, independent people are often the easiest to manipulate. Not because they're weak, but because they never imagine they're the target. As you watch this, faces may start appearing in your mind. Conversations you dismissed. Decisions that suddenly don't make sense anymore. Small moments you laughed off that may have been carefully designed. By the time you recognize these hidden patterns, they can reshape your confidence, your relationships, your future, and even your identity. The 7 signs you're about to discover are so subtle that most people never notice them until it's far too late. The question is, how many of them are already controlling your life? The most dangerous manipulation doesn't attack your mind. It quietly makes you stop trusting yourself. Manipulators know that controlling your choices is difficult, but controlling how you feel about your choices is much easier. Psychology shows that when someone repeatedly questions your memory, judgment, or emotions, your brain starts relying on their version of reality instead of your own. It doesn't happen overnight. It happens one small conversation at a time. Imagine a close friend or partner constantly saying, "You're overreacting," or "That's not what happened. You always remember things wrong." At first you brush it off. Then you start apologizing. Soon, you're second-guessing every decision before you make it. The surprising part, your brain begins seeking their approval because uncertainty creates anxiety, and certainty, even false certainty, feels safe. That's how confidence fades, self-respect erodes, and your independence quietly disappears. The moment you stop trusting your own instincts, someone else begins writing your story, and that's only the beginning. The next sign is even more subtle and far more dangerous. The most effective manipulators rarely tell you what to do. They make you feel guilty until you choose it yourself. Guilt is one of the strongest psychological tools because it bypasses logic and speaks directly to your emotions. Instead of forcing your decisions, a manipulator makes you believe saying no means you're selfish, uncaring, or disloyal. Imagine a family member saying, "After everything I've done for you, this is how you repay me." Suddenly, you're making choices to escape guilt, not because they're right for you. Over time, your confidence fades, your self-respect weakens, and your own needs begin to feel less important than everyone else's. Here's the surprising part. The human brain often mistakes relief from guilt for genuine happiness, making the manipulation almost invisible. The moment guilt becomes someone else's steering wheel, your freedom quietly disappears. And the next sign is even more deceptive, because it often arrives disguised as a compliment. The most dangerous lies are the ones that sound like they're protecting you. Manipulators often disguise control as concern because your brain naturally lowers its defenses when it believes someone is acting out of care. Instead of saying, "I want to control you," they say, "I'm only looking out for you." Imagine a partner who constantly discourages you from seeing friends, insisting they're a bad influence, or a coworker who tells you not to trust everyone else because I'm the only one being honest with you. At first, it feels comforting. Then your world quietly gets smaller. The surprising truth is that isolation doesn't have to be physical. It can begin with a single repeated suggestion that slowly changes who you trust. Before long, you question your own judgment and rely on theirs for every important decision. Remember this, genuine care gives you freedom, while manipulation quietly takes it away. And the next sign is even harder to detect because it hides behind praise instead of fear. The moment you start apologizing for things you didn't do, Someone may already be controlling your reality. Manipulators use misplaced guilt because it's easier to control a person who constantly feels responsible. Psychologically, repeated blame creates a pattern where your brain begins searching for your own mistakes before questioning someone else's behavior. Picture a workplace where a coworker misses a deadline, but somehow convinces you that the project failed because you weren't supportive enough. Soon, you're saying, "I'm sorry," before you even know what happened. Little by little, your confidence weakens, your self-respect fades, and your decisions become driven by fear instead of facts. Here's the surprising truth. People who are highly empathetic are often the easiest targets because they naturally assume responsibility. Never mistake endless guilt for kindness. Sometimes it's the first sign that someone else is quietly rewriting your reality. And the next sign is even more unsettling because it can make manipulation feel like genuine love. The most powerful manipulation begins the moment someone convinces you that you can't succeed without them. This tactic works because your brain naturally seeks security during uncertainty. A skilled manipulator slowly positions themselves as your only source of approval, guidance, or stability. Imagine a partner who says, "No one will ever understand you like I do," or a boss who constantly reminds you that your success depends entirely on them. At first, it feels reassuring. Then you hesitate to make even the smallest decision without their opinion. The surprising insight is that psychologists call this dependency conditioning, when repeated reinforcement trains you to doubt your own independence. Over time, your confidence shrinks, your self-respect erodes, and your identity begins revolving around someone else's validation. Remember this: real support empowers you to stand on your own. Control makes you afraid to. And the final sign reveals the subtle habit that ties every manipulation tactic together. The most dangerous prison is the one you never realize you're living in. If even one of these signs felt familiar, don't panic. Pay attention. Manipulation loses much of its power the moment you recognize it. Awareness is where freedom begins. Every hidden tactic you've seen today has one purpose: to slowly disconnect you from your own judgment. But the moment you start questioning unhealthy patterns instead of questioning yourself, everything changes. Remember this: the strongest mind isn't the one that never gets manipulated. It's the one that learns to recognize manipulation before it becomes identity. From this moment on, trust your instincts, ask better questions, and protect your peace as fiercely as you protect your time. Every choice you make with clarity is another step toward becoming impossible to control. If this video made you see your world differently, leave a comment with "I choose clarity." If you believe someone else needs this message, share it with them. And if you're ready to understand the hidden psychology that shapes everyday behavior, subscribe and turn on notifications, because in the next video, we'll uncover a psychological truth that silently influences your decisions every single day. And once you see it, you'll never look at people or yourself the same way again. The moment you stop believing every thought you're given is the moment you finally begin thinking for yourself.